Okay, I'm going to show you the basics of the Rhinestone panel. So I got some shapes here to show you. You do need Designer Edition. You can see I have Designer Edition set. Standard Edition does not have the Rhinestone tool. So if we take the square, go down here, third from the bottom, if you're in Designer, Rhinestones. So if you select your image, you'll see that there's no effect, and you got your edge effect, you got your linear effect, and then your radial fill. So something like a square, if you just do the outline, the edge, it just gives you that edge where your cut line is. We'll turn it into the stones. If you do the linear fill, it fills it, and as you can see, they go straight across. Now something like a square, if you do the radial, is not really much of a difference. But if we grab this circle and we do the same effects with this edge and then the linear, they just go straight across. But if you do the radial, you can see that it brings these straight around. So this might be a better look for a circle than this. So the rhinestone effect, basically you want to tweak with when trying to figure out which is the best look for the design that you have. Oh, it took me a second to get that out. Now we want to get into the rhinestone size. So the rhinestones come in different sizes. They're indicated by a number and SS, which stands for stone size. So right now this circle is set to 10 SS. Now if we wanted a bigger stone, or if you don't have 10 SS on hand, you have 16 SS. If you click that, it changes it. Now it will adjust the design to fit those stones that you have. Now when you increase the size of the shape, it doesn't change the size of the circles or the stones. It adds or subtracts the amount of stones that you have. So right now we're at a 4.425 size circle, and this looks pretty clean. But as you just saw, as I move this thing around, sometimes certain sizes don't land correctly. Like that kind of looks a little weird in there. So you might need to adjust it a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than you actually want to get it to fill in cleanly. That's something that you'll learn over time with the different stone sizes. So as you select, so we'll do the 10 SS with this circle. If you look down the bottom here, it says you need 345 10 SS stones to make this rhinestone design, which is kind of cool because otherwise you'd have to count all those circles, and nobody's doing that. So then if we get down, after you pick the stone size, you can either adjust 6, 10, 16, or 20 here, or you can adjust it yourself manually if you have an 8 SS stone and it's not listed here. So we're just going to stick with the 10. Oh, let me go. All right. So then there's also spacing. So right now the spacing is set to 0.039. So if we adjust this up, see how it creates more space between them? So you can adjust your spacing. Like, that's crazy. You don't want that. Adjust your spacing so that it feels the best to you. Like, that looks pretty good. See how nice and round that is? So that's your spacing, and then this is the freehand tool. If you actually wanted to draw some rhinestones, you can, which I don't ever think you should, but who am I to judge? So also you have things like this skull. If you want skull and crossbones, if you wanted to do that, you could do the outlines of it. You could do the linear fill or the radial fill, and then adjust these and it adds the stones or subtracts the stones to make sure that, you know, it fits right. Not every design is going to work. Like, you can't, this doesn't look right to me. It might look right to you, but it might make more sense to do a linear fill with this design versus a radial, or you might just want the outline. Just got to keep adjusting it till that nose looks right. Now, if you do have this and you're like, wow, this looks great, except for that nose is a little wonky, what I suggest doing is duplicating it and leaving this guy over here in case you destroy this one and you need to go back. So now this is in what they call the rhinestone effect, and you can adjust this and resize it and stuff, change the stone size. I like the 6 might even look a little better. But we're gonna, yeah, we'll just stick with the 6. See how this guy's missing right here? Now if I release the rhinestones, then this is no longer going to have the ability to change it to a linear or radial. It's just going to be essentially circles. So if I release this, see how they're all individual now? And you can move these around. So if I resize this, it's going to resize the circle that you have, and then it's no longer going to be a specific size to the rhinestone. But you may need to release it because you got that one missing. Now if I hold down Alt, see how it changes the icon, and then drag that out, it'll duplicate a rhinestone. So now we fix that. And then we may want to just adjust these a little bit. So this nose looks a little better. I'm going to add one here. Actually going to grab all these and move it down. Now you can get crazy and you can start lining these two together. And then lining these two. Like, you know, it really depends on how critical you want to get of everything. And, you know, how bad you need to satisfy your OCD, I guess. So that's basically that, how you adjust those images. I'm sorry, I'm on a PC for the first time in forever and having trouble with the controls. But anyway, you get the idea. This is the linear, the outline, or edge, and then you can actually take it off if you decide, like, yeah, I'm just going to cut this square in vinyl or whatever. So if we have that, and we take this design that we have, and remember, once the rhinestones are released, you can no longer adjust it. It won't add or subtract stones. It will just make them smaller. So you don't want to do that. I'm just going to go back. Okay. All right, so now that this is set, I'm just going to go ahead and group this so I don't accidentally move one of the stones when trying to grab it. Now next we're going to cut this with the flock. So we're going to go to the send screen. And of course my silhouette's not connecting. Alright, got my silhouette hooked up. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to material, and then you're going to go to Rhinestone template material. And I've found that the stock settings that come with the silhouette work perfectly. So it's blade 6, force 33, speed 5, and then 2 passes seems to help significantly. So now I'm going to switch to the camera and show you guys loading it and cutting it. Alright, I got my template block. Just gonna load it onto your mat just like you would any vinyl or heat transfer. Oh, they're real good. As you can see, my mat is beat up. It's probably like yours. Put it in there. Alright, and then we're going to send it. And now it will cut. Alright, through the powers of the internet, this has been cut completely. We're just going to unload it. This off the back. And then probably can't see it because I can barely see it. But there's the design cut. I'm just going to trim this so I can use this piece later. Alright, so I got this thing trimmed. So what you're going to do is you're going to peel this apart because this is sticky here. When you peel this apart, in theory, all of the holes will get left behind that you just cut. Oh, if you miss a couple, that's okay. You can get them later. So that's all holes. So you don't need the holes. Now you have your template. So I'm just going to take an old piece of 651 that I had laying around. See that? And then I'm going to put the template, stick the template on it. Now there are some holes here, so I'm going to go ahead and, there are some holes that didn't get left behind, so I'm just going to take a second and weed them out. Alright, now we got our template set. I got my SS6 stones. I'm just going to dump way more than I think I need. And then I'll take the rhinestone brush and I will start brushing them in to the holes. And as you go over them, they will flip upright and sit in there correctly, believe it or not. And you're just gonna go. Brush the stones in. You guys get the idea. Just brush the stones all into, you can see they're all filling into the holes. And you just get rid of the excess. Get that one out of the way. Alright, there's a couple there. I'm just going to drop them in and then I'll show you how to transfer it. Okay, so rather than trying to get the last ones brushed, I'll just take tweezers real fast and just drop them into the last few. It just makes sense to me. Other people will brush and brush and brush until they're all in there, but I figure I just get close enough and then drop the rest of them in with some tweezers. Oh, get away from me. Oop. Hopefully you're better at it than I am. All right, I get them all. One more. All right, now that we're all in there, we're going to take our transfer mask. Let me get a piece of this ready. So it's just the same mask that we use for our heat transfer patterns. You can use to pick up the rhinestones. I'm sorry, I should have been way more prepared. So now you have the clear transfer mask here. We're just going to drop it on there. That, squeegee it very lightly so you don't pop any of these out of the holes. If you do, you can usually force them back in there. That very slowly I'll pull them up. And then now you have your rhinestone template all ready to get pressed, and I'll show you guys how to do that too. Alright, now I got the heat press set to 325. I got my shirt loaded up. I already did a pre-press. Couple seconds, do it again, show you. Now I got the transfer that we just made. Put it on the shirt. Now I do recommend putting a Teflon sheet on, but I don't actually have one right now, so we're just gonna hope it goes. So we'll press that for 15 seconds. That up. We'll peel it hot. All right, now we have our transfer design on there. As you can see, it's pretty cool. All right, another thing I like to do is I like to fold it, put it inside out. So we're just gonna fold this inside out real fast. So that way we can ensure that the adhesive on the back of the rhinestones gets as much adhesion as possible. So we'll do that for another 15 seconds. Alright, take that off. Fold it back. And then bam, you got your rhinestone design. It's pretty cool. Alright, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know what I messed up on, what you need to see more of. Appreciate it. Thanks.